Right. All praise to the Most High Yah, our Heavenly Father, in the name of our Lord and Savior. Some of y'all say Yahusha, some of y'all say Yahweh, others y'all say Jesus, right? Okay, in the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High, right? But anyway, we're going to talk about Candace Owens and the Ashkenazi in this video. And what it appears to be happening right now is that, she's being persecuted by all these different Ashkenazi Jews, right? And basically they're trying to attack her credibility as well as attacking her financially, and trying to destroy her career. I say appears to be because, you also have to understand, Candace Owens, is not the most endearing figure with the Black community, as she calls us, right? And so basically you got to watch, because sometimes they'll stage persecution in order for us to start getting behind somebody, in order to give us a leader that is really a puppet, somebody that they can control, right? I'm gonna let her tell her story, you know what I mean? I'll pop back in from time to time, you know what I mean, and make points throughout the video. All right, so let's go. Let her tell her story.
Let's fast forward now to 2022, to a situation that the entire world was made aware of, obviously, when Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, tweeted this. He tweeted, "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is I actually can't be anti-Semitic because Black people are actually Jew. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda." It's good to look at his tweet now without it being interpreted in the media, especially that last sentence. "You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda." Now, at that time, obviously, the reason why people were looking for me to make a statement is that this tweet came very close to the time that I had taken the notorious picture with Kanye West. We both wore White Lives Matter t-shirts at his fashion show in Paris. Again, me teaming up with Kanye because I have a laser focus on the Black community, and I had a laser focus on wanting to destroy Black Lives Matter as an organization because I knew that they were lying to the Black community. So again, my entire relationship and what I did publicly with Kanye was based on Black America.
All right, so it's three things that I want you to see first in that clip. Number one, Candace Owens got in trouble with the Black community, as she says, when she and Kanye West stood there and had these shirts on, White Lives Matter, and she said she explained why she did it. And I agree with her to a certain extent about the White Lives Matter, because, like we know, all lives matter. But Black Lives Matter to the Black people represented, this public shooting of Black men by police officers, right? So that's what we were led to believe that what it was about. But meanwhile, on the political right, what Black Lives Matter was, it was a liberal left-wing funded group by Ashkenazi Jews, George Soros, right? In which they were trying to give us, this is why I was telling you about puppet leaders. They were trying to give us these lesbian leaders, you know what I mean, who was running this organization, Black Lives Matter, and they were in their own, on their own webpage. I had made a video a long time ago about that, but on their webpage, they had put in there about, how they wanted to have queer-led families and all this type of stuff. So, I was against Black Lives Matter, but not for the reason, that the surface reason that they were telling people. So in that she didn't explain it, she got herself in trouble with the Black community, right? Well, needless to say, this is why I say it appears that she may be being persecuted for this reason, because what she goes on to say, is, okay, well, I got in trouble with Kanye West, this notorious picture. And then, her next point was she stands, for the Black community. And this is why I have a problem with her, because she keeps referring to us just like with anybody else. Y'all already know me. Anybody that want to keep referring to us as Blacks and not as the Israelites are not being beneficial to us. They're being detrimental to us. And you see, she even does that. As a matter of fact, let me show you this clip.
On social media, I come across extraordinary depictions about how Africans lived like pharaohs before Europeans came and laid waste to their paradise. I wish any of this were true, but it's not. It's a fantasy. The truth is that Africans were sold into slavery by other Black Africans, and in many cases, sold for items as trivial as gin and mirrors. Whites didn't go into the interior and round up the natives. They waited on the coast for their black partners to bring them black bodies. The stark reality is that our lives had very little value to our ancestors.
All right. So that's why I don't trust her, because she's still perpetuating this myth that it was blacks selling blacks into slavery, Africans selling Africans into slavery, and not Hamites who sold Israelites into slavery, right? So now you see, there's one other point that she made when it came to the Kanye West tweet, right? So now let's go look at this tweet. All right, so when we go look at this tweet that she got in trouble with, because in her mind, she's defending Kanye West, and in her mind, it was about this last sentence. As you can see what she said. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda. So this is what she addresses, as you can see in the video. This is why she says they had a problem with her. But the problem really goes if you go back up another couple lines, right? It's not about him going DEFCON 3. And you're going to see she's going to mention about the DEFCON 3. She mentioned about you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda. But what she does not discuss, this is why I don't trust her, right? Is this part in between. The funny thing is I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. So see, this is what I think the whole thing is really about. And she, whether she's ignorant of why they're coming after her, or because she defended Kanye West, and in defending Kanye West, she defended the whole tweet, even though she may think that she was just defending that third sentence in the tweet, right? And this is why I say now it becomes an issue over Hebrew Israelite identity. Now, Candace Owens is a smart woman. She's well-spoken. She's articulate. The bottom line is, how is it with all of this stuff that's out here about the Hebrew Israelites, if you and I can sit up here and find this stuff, how is it that she can't go in to look up her own lineage when right now you have had any time some black brings up, we are the Israelites, they go ham, they go crazy, right? Nick Cannon, they threaten him, right? Deshaun Jackson, the football player, before he retired, he brought up about us, Hitler's quote about us being the Israelites. They went after him. Kyrie Irving, when he just tweeted Ron Dalton's movie, Hebrew to Negroes, they went after him. So how is it that anybody who's in Black America can't see that every time some black celebrity or somebody with a platform says anything about the Hebrew Israelites and the African Americans being the real Jews, that the Ashkenazi Jews has a problem with it. And they start attacking people in the media. Why? Because these people got platforms. And if you say it, then it can spread because it gets validated by somebody that people are looking up to. You see? So they say, we created you and we will destroy you. And this lets you know who's really in control of the media. All right. So that's why I say it appears, you know, on one hand, yes, maybe they are truly persecuting her. But on the other hand, how is it that she does not understand why this persecution is coming? But now let's continue and let's show you the rest of what has happened and what has transpired. And we'll come back and discuss more later.
But again, because this tweet came closely thereafter, people were looking at me to comment. And the truth is that I was aware behind the scenes, Kanye gave me conversations, I read them in their entirety, of very specific Jewish people who I would say were definitively making threats against him. And so I had more knowledge than the public had when he shared this tweet. Now, what happened thereafter was I tried to caution the public the very next day following his tweet. So he had done nothing else yet. He had done no interviews. It was just the tweet that had existed in the public sphere. And I was trying to essentially say to people, hold your horses, because I think that once he explains what's happening behind the scenes, you will realize that he's not talking about all Jewish people in the entire world. He is feeling passionately about certain people that he works with. And here is what I said in an attempt to get people to hold their horses. Take a listen. That was the tweet. And people subsequently demanded that the tweet be taken down for anti-Semitism. Now, if you are an honest person, you did not think this tweet was anti-Semitic. You did not think that he wrote this tweet because he hates or wants to genocide Jewish people. This does not represent the beginning of the Holocaust. That's if you're an honest person, you'll meet that. You will admit that, right? If you're an honest person, when you read this tweet, you had no idea what the hell he was talking about. I had no idea when I read this tweet what the hell he was talking about. This tweet inspired questions, not answers. First and foremost, what is DEFCON 3? Did he mean DEFCON 3, which would be a military defense position, not an offense for those of you that are offended, a military defense position? Is he tweeting this because he's reading the Newsweek headline calling him an anti-Semitic? Is he angry because he can't believe that he's not free to talk about people in his life who happen to be Jewish, right? Without being accused of anti-Semitism? Is he saying, I'm not going to shut up and I'm going to keep tweeting and I'm going to keep calling these people out, referring to his friends that he feels slighted by? Is he talking about Jared Kushner and Josh Kushner? If you're a liar, you'll say, I know I was scared, Candace. I actually thought that Kanye West was going to launch a military strike in Israel. Because that's the reaction. Like when I woke up and I looked at the headlines, the reaction was like Kanye West had gotten together a military strike and it was going to go forward in the morning time in Israel. That was the reaction that was met with this tweet. So that's what I said. And now that we're looking at it and examining it in the retrospect, you can see that I'm trying to suggest to people that there are specific people and he is having a reaction. And I will admit, if I fumbled the ball here, and I can understand why people were upset about it, they read that as, no, she's fully defending him, and he actually does want to go DEFCON 3 on all Jewish people everywhere. People were very upset that I had said that. But I want to be clear that I had actually read the messages that were being sent to him. One of them, he ended up sharing publicly. This was a text message from Harley Pasternak to Kanye. And this was something, again, that I had read before he had sent that tweet. Text message reads, I'm going to help you one of a couple of ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to Zombieland forever. Playdate with the kids just won't be the same. Is that a normal tweet? I will ask you guys, a normal text message, for somebody in your life, and Harley Pasternak, yes, he is Jewish, to send to you. He's supposed to be a trainer. What do you mean I'll have you institutionalized again? What does that mean? That your playdates with the kid, you're threatening somebody's relationship with their kids, right? Now, when you do something like that, it can drive somebody crazy.
She's basically trying to defend her friend Kanye West, right? Because this Jewish guy, you know what I mean, is threatening Kanye that he will have him institutionalized again, okay? After, you know, and so Kanye basically saying, y'all not gonna play the anti-Semitism card on us because we're really Semitic too. We're the real Jews, right? So this is why, you know, they really ticked off. And I don't know if she's really aware of this is the real reason or not, but, you know, needless to say, now things start getting a little bit more heated because now you're going to see, here comes the rest of the Ashkenazis, you know, ready to, you know, set fire and torch to, you know, to these Negroes who are basically coming against Jewish people.
Hi, everybody. My understanding is, although I have not seen it myself, Candace Owens launched a broadside attack against me and my daughter Rachalea for calling her out on her anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, and bigotry over the last year at least. This is a woman who defended Kanye West when he said he loved Hitler. I want to tell you something. It is possible, although I'm not positive, but I think it's very possible that even David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the Klan, never publicly praised Hitler. To praise Hitler, you have to be a man of such hatred. Kanye West, they say he's troubled. That's an excuse. He's a vile Jew hater, and Candace Owens is his bestie, best friend, defended him, said that he's not an anti-Semite, has always stuck by him. Then when October 7th came, when the whole world saw Jewish women shot in their vaginas, Candace Owens said she could not yet come to a moral decision on who was right and wrong about October 7th.
A man by the name of Rabbi Shmuley, and his hag daughter have been harassing me. They have made videos after videos smearing me, libeling me as an anti-Semite, saying that I defend Hitler, that I defend, just an absolute nonsense. I want to be clear, it's been going on for 2 years. They watch every minute of the show, take me out of context, and essentially are trying to create hatred between me and the Jewish community, which is just never going to happen. I'm telling you, it's just never going to happen. I have too many Jewish friends. I love Jewish people. They're a part of my story so much in the things that they have done for me since I was a child. You know, I've shared that with you. We don't need to recap that. It's never going to work, but he won't stop. The threats don't stop. And I showed you guys basically just a small snippet, really just a minute of their harassment over the last 2 years. And some of you guys were very stunned and shocked, and I'm finally defending myself, and I feel good about it. Like, I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm like, let's go. Like, let's go, Rabbi Shmuley. So he sees me defending myself, and he's now doubling down. He's getting crazier in his threats against me. This is unbelievable. The Jerusalem Post, here's the headline: Candace Owens and Rabbi Shmuley squabble over anti-Semitism, blackmail, and Kanye West. And they do a very good job in this article of just giving you the play-by-play of what has happened since the very beginning. But buried into this article, I could not believe this. Like, they reached out to him for a comment, and he actually said this, quote, "There can be no question that Candace's serious defamation against me and the Jewish community must be met with a comprehensive lawsuit that will bankrupt her." Bankrupt her. He wants to bankrupt me for defending myself against him and his hag daughter, right? Why do I call him an unholy rabbi? Because who does that? It's one thing to say, like, I want to sue somebody. It's another thing to say that I want to bankrupt that person. He constantly makes these sorts of financial threats. And why should we talk about that? Because if I or somebody else said, oh, you know, Jewish people always try to come after people in the means of money, it would be referred to as an anti-Semitic trope. Well, what is he doing right here if not engaging or creating that very trope by saying that he wants to bankrupt somebody? Why? Oh, because, like, she's defending herself. Like, she doesn't have a right to defend herself. I can go after her and smear her and libel her for 2 years straight, and she better not say anything. Listen, Rabbi, I don't know what thug life you think you're a part of, but I want to be very clear that I am definitely an uppity black person. I say that, obviously, as a nod to Clarence Thomas when he was testifying and saying that if there's a black person who ordains to think for themselves, these people are deemed uppity. And I want you to know, Rabbi Shmuley, that I am indeed an uppity black, okay? I am not taking kindly to your threats. So let's just get to the bottom of them. What's next? What's next? I don't fear you, okay? So you want to bankrupt me for defending myself? Is that what you said, by the way? Are those one of the reasons that Michael Jackson put you on a list of individuals that he felt were threatening his life? Were you threatening to bankrupt him? Why don't you answer the questions? I don't fear you whatsoever. So what's next? You've already libeled. You've already smeared. Now you're threatening to bankrupt. What are you gonna do next? You're gonna kill me? Are you gonna kill me because I refuse to kowtow to you, because I'm not fearful of you? And I think it's weird that you and your daughter are promoting and selling sex toys. That's why I deem you an unholy rabbi, because the industrialization of sex is harmful to our society everywhere. I don't care if you call it kosher sex. You're selling butt plugs on the internet. You gross me out. You disgust me. I am a better person than you, and I do not fear you. Because as I said, you don't have the ability or the strength to fracture the relationships between me and the Jewish community. You don't have that power. So what's next? Show us. I want everyone to see what you do to me.
As well as the topic of the war, we also touched on the rabbi's recent feud with Candace Owens, where she described him as being unholy for running a kosher sex shop with his daughter.
Candace Owens, I don't take anything she says seriously. She'll say anything for attention. She knows nothing about Judaism, and she knows nothing about sex, clearly. In Judaism, sex is the holiest act that two people can engage in, especially within the confines of marriage. And that's what we set out to do with kosher sex. This was a book that my dad wrote 25 years ago, and he wrote it to enhance marriage and to make it exciting and to use Jewish wisdom to keep couples connected. And I took those ideas 25 years later because sex had only taken more of a hit. Like my dad said, endless porn addiction, infidelity. People have lost the ability to connect.
Let's talk about the reality. You just said that the Jewish people battle pornography. You're the guy on Howard Stern doing all this wild stuff. You're the guy in videos you release yourself, it looks like your grandson or some kid that you're table dancing on, grinding on him. You're grabbing, I think it's your granddaughter's or a little girl's breast. You're talking about my penis on air, and just now that my penis is small, and all the rest of this stuff. And you're sitting there, are a famous guy for being, let's just say, wild. I wasn't going to raise the fact that you got kosher dildos and butt plugs. I would ask her, are you wearing one now? And then you tell me, you have a butt plug right now?
May I answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Butt Plug.
May I answer? Okay.
Do you have a model called the Holiness?
Right, so you see, now, this Rabbi Shmuley comes out of nowhere, and I don't call him Rabbi, he's Shmuley to me, okay? Because y'all know what Jesus said about calling people Rabbi. Anyway, but Shmuley gets on here talking about, people, she didn't make a response to, October 7th when women got shot in their vaginas. We never saw that. I ain't never seen nothing like that. But you see, this man is, he's selling butt plugs and dildos and all this type of stuff. Him and his daughter got a sex shop, and he's supposed to be a rabbi. Now you see why the Most High said don't call people rabbis and all that, right? These people are, Judaism don't tell you no butt plug. You know what I'm saying? So now Candace Owens called the man out behind all this, and now they get mad about it, right? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's clowning him, so she's fighting back. She's not just doing what, all the rest of them, Nick Cannon and all of them, they threaten them and all that. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, Master, I'm sorry. Well, she's fighting back, right? So needless to say, there, it starts escalating. Here comes another one trying to burn her down, okay? So let me show you this clip.
All right, everybody, let's jump right into this. A very exciting episode for you today. Here in my hands, I am holding an article that was published by PJ Media. The title is, Let's Be Honest, Candace Owens is a Jew-hating bigot. It was written by a rabbi, Rabbi Michael Barclay. So I read this article, and honestly, there are only two options here. Either this rabbi is genuinely ignorant of everything that I have ever said, in which case I'm happy to clarify it because he will be joining us on today's episode. Or the other option is he's completely aware of the things that I have said, and he is just a monster.
I have called you, and I'm not alone in this, many Jews have called you an anti-Semite. I think it's important to first identify what anti-Semitism is. It is a different type of hate than any other type of hate in the world.
Could you provide for us a definition of anti-Semitism?
Absolutely. I really appreciate that because I think that is the break. If we're not speaking the same language, where can we go, right? So there's a man, a blessed memory man named Lord Jonathan Sachs. He was the chief rabbi of England. He had a great line. He really defined anti-Semitism. That anti-Semitism is Jews have no right to exist collectively as Jews with the same rights as other human beings. Which is kind of a weird statement. So let's just track back a bit to understand the history of anti-Semitism. 2,000 years ago, Jews don't accept Jesus as Messiah. For people who do not have faith, as the early Christians, as some of them have faith, some of them accept Jesus, but they don't really in their heart. And you and I both know people like Rob McCoy who accepts it fully in their heart, and other people who are doing it without faith. And those who have less faith, the fact that a Jew exists, let alone thrives, is a threat to their faith, because how can the Jew not accept Jesus as God and still thrive? Unless he's associated with the devil. So you start having these myths that are created of the Jew being identified with the opposite of God.
Nope. You ain't getting that off, Barkley. The devil is a lie. Let's break it down. First of all, if you don't accept Christ's atonement, then you are supposed to be under the curse of the law, because you can't sacrifice animals anymore. So rather than y'all owning the slave ships, your butts were supposed to be on the slave ships. You were supposed to be scattered and carried into bondage worldwide according to Deuteronomy 28:68. That didn't happen to you. That happened to us. Our people didn't sell your people sold our people. So guess what? For you to say we're being anti-Semitic is ridiculous. You are the one who's being anti-Semitic by telling us we aren't the Jews. So why is it when we tell you you're not the Jews, you want to run around saying, you're being anti-Semitic? No, you're the anti-Semite, right? Because we are the ones who have the proof, the biblical signs upon us, not you. Let's continue.
Anti-Semitism is a hate against their religion. By the time you get to the 18th and 20th centuries, when so many Jews have assimilated, they are in culture, they are in arts, they're in science, it's no longer against them for their religion, it's against them for their race. This anti-Semitism is the oldest hate in the world, and the hate that mutates. In 1948, because remember, it says Lord Sachs.
Oh, I just want to pause it. You said it's a hate that mutates.
Correct.
So your belief then is that the definition of anti-Semitism can necessarily change. Is that correct?
It's not just my belief. It is the commonly accepted understanding in both the Jewish and academic worlds.
Okay.
This isn't a cultural anthropologist.
So I would just say off the bat, I do not accept that definitions can just mutate. That is something that I could debate that on, like the definition of a woman. I mean, and I'm saying not just about Jewish people. I think that we have to have a concrete definition to work with, because then you can just update and say, actually, I've changed that, and now this is what constitutes anti-Semitism.
But Candace, that is the horror of anti-Semitism.
If you could, just because I think it's really important for us to get to going through this article, because then you might be able to explain why you view it as anti-Semitism. If you could just give us what you are saying the current definition of anti-Semitism is today, that would be very helpful.
The current definition of anti-Semitism today has to do with what the feelings are. It has to do with anti-Zionism, number one. That is a definition. Anti-Zionism, anti-Israel is anti-Semitism.
Okay.
This isn't
so you believe that Jewish people can be anti-Semitic?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So here comes Barkley, right? Now he's on Candace and he's calling her anti-Semite, right? But what did I tell y'all in this book, right? Satan, Prince of this World, page 111. It reads Weishaupt, okay, who is Adam Weishaupt of the Bavarian Illuminati, and Pike, who was General Albert Pike, who basically was the head of the KKK, are both on records as saying Jews and also anti-Semitism were to be used to serve their own secret plans and diabolical ambitions, right? What are those diabolical ambitions? To start 3 world wars. After the Second World War, they needed to get the Zionists down into Palestine so they could start a 3rd World War between the Zionists and the Arabs, which is what you see is going on today, right? So the bottom line is, see, Candace stepped into this thing by her trying to say, y'all are not the Jews. This messes up all of their plans if people find out that we are the real Jews. If they are the Jews who say they are the Jews and are not, they have no right going down into Palestine, right? So you can't start no war because you ain't got no business down there, right? But the problem is people don't know who the real Jews are. That's why they get so threatened with our awakening and our claiming our identity, because it messes up everything that they're trying to do in bringing about this 3rd World War, right? So now let's go back to the clips.
Then you go on to talk about me attacking Rabbi Shmuley. My audience has already seen him attacking me over the last 2 years. And I'm just going to ask you a basic question. Does a Black person or any person have a right to defend themselves?
Absolutely.
Okay, because that is interesting, because Rabbi Shmuley and his daughter have attacked me and made videos of me for 2 years straight. I have responded once, and you're basically saying that I'm anti-Semitic for responding. So I want your perception of when it is that a Black person's allowed to respond.
So Candace, first of all, I know Shmuley peripherally. We've probably met a half a dozen times, okay? He is an incredibly knowledgeable man. He formed L'Chaim Society at Oxford. Incredibly knowledgeable man. And with 9 kids, right? I don't know all the things that he has said about you. I do know he's called you an anti-Semite, and so have I. That's not a personal attack on you and your family. For you to call a man who is extremely knowledgeable, an unholy rabbi, and his hag daughter, forgetting about what he may or may not have done, if he's attacked you personally, if he's said whatever horrific things about you personally, that you are a blankety, 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 blank, he's wrong. If he's attacked you or your children or your family, your mother, for you to, rather than comment on whatever he's done, to call him an unholy rabbi, that is way out of line. You don't even know what a rabbi's supposed to do.
So let me ask you a question.
There's no Jew, by the way,
do you view that as anti-Semitic for me to respond? So it's okay, so he can attack me for 2 years. Is he a racist, just to be clear?
I don't know how he attacks you, so I can't comment.
So what if I say that the definition of racism changes, and if you attack a black person, you're a racist?
Depends. Candace, you don't get to get away with that. It depends how it changes.
No, I'm asking because at the beginning of this discussion, you did say that you can't tell a black person. It's been 2 years consistently of him and his daughter attacking me, saying that.
I wasn't there. I'm asking you. I'm asking all.
Okay, but if you're saying that you weren't there, why would you put this into writing? Isn't it incumbent upon you to research what's happened before you start saying to me that defending myself is anti-Semitic?
Candace, if he attacked you personally, if he said you were a black fill in the blank, then he should be reprimanded that, but it doesn't justify what you did. You don't know what a rabbi does. You don't know our theology. How dare you call him an unholy rabbi? How dare you go into the misogynistic, the anti-Semitic trope of his hag daughter, something used throughout the late 18th and early through the early 20th century.
Sorry. Hag is now anti-Semitic?
That is a term of his hag daughter that goes back into the witches of Eastern Europe. Why did you have to call her a hag daughter?
Just to be clear, because she's a witch. I think she's a witch. That's not because she's Jewish. I would call someone a hag of any color. I think she's a witch. What they have done over the last 2 years, I believe his daughter is a hag. I said that because that's what I believe. You may disagree with me on that, but to say that that's anti-Semitic is ridiculous. I would call any person a hag.
Candace, I'm going to be very clear without trying to be insulting. So please forgive me if it comes off wrong. Okay, it's not meant to.
No, it's fine. You can insult me.
I don't want to.
I've dealt with 2 years of a rabbi insulting me, so I'm totally cool with this. Yeah.
I have no desire to insult anybody. Okay.
Candace, I don't want to insult anybody. You know, but yet they try to destroy you financially. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So now you see what's going on. Here comes Shmuley, Candace, slap, get back. Here comes Barkley, Candace, slap, get back. She won't apologize. Now, I wholeheartedly stand with her on that, right? Because Nick Cannon and them, yes sir, Massa, you know, Kyrie Irving and them, they didn't want to stand up. But Candace, slap, get back, slap, get back, right? So needless to say, she ain't apologized. Let's send more.
This is why I'm terming this merchants of smear, because what they're doing here is they're constantly threatening people behind the scenes, publicly threatening people by smearing their reputations, and they never, ever, ever take a break. This business just keeps going on and on and on and on, and the point is, again, to make me submit. Another example of that, this is rather shocking, I'm not kidding. Yesterday, a journalist, and I'm putting this into quotation marks, despite all of the debunking that I did in that long article, in that long interview with Rabbi Barclay, already was jumping on the next smear. His name is Isaac Shore. He writes for, you guessed it, Mediaite, as well as the New York Post, and he is now publicly calling to have me fired. He's written a lot of articles, by the way, and he talks to a lot of people behind the scenes, telling them not to run any pieces on Candace Owens. Don't talk about Candace Owens. This guy's like, doing a real hit job here. And like a total rational journalist, he tweeted, how long will the Daily Wire stand by Candace Owens? No one is asking the Daily Wire to stop Owens from peddling hatred and conspiracy theories. They're just wondering why it's choosing to subsidize such behavior. Yeah, totally irrational thing for a journalist to tweet. He accompanied that with an article by the same title, How Long Will the Daily Wire Stand by Candace Owens? Because as you've seen, I've showed you the whole history. Aren't you convinced yet? They've written so many articles. These psychological terrorists, they've told you 1,000 times anti-Semite, so it must be true. And why would anyone hire and stand by a raging anti-Semite? They've said it so many times, guys. And he wasn't done. He wrote a second headline yesterday published on Mediaite. Maybe, I don't know, just enraged at the fact that I had to sit down and spoke rationally to Rabbi Barclay. I don't know what's driving this, but here's the headline. Candace Owens endorses wild anti-Semitic conspiracy theory about Jews being drunk on Christian blood. That is the headline, you guys. You've been listening to the show. Have you ever heard me endorse a conspiracy theory about Jews being drunk on Christian blood? How sick and how sinister is this getting? How utterly insane this is all getting. It's starting to feel like there's some sort of a bounty on my head, and the person that can convince the public of something that is so ridiculous that I can't come back from is just going to receive a ton of money. And Isaac Shore is really competing for that, because do you want to know where he got that conspiracy theory from? A tweet that I had liked of someone defending me when Rabbi Shmuley was smearing me. He dug up an old tweet of mine that was from February, tried to present it as if it was something new and something that was about him before our back and forth ever even broke out. And so I liked the tweet because it clarified the right date of the tweet, saying that, Rabbi Shmuley, this tweet is obviously from February 20th. What are you, drunk on Christian blood? Didn't even pay attention to the last part of the tweet. I just obviously liked that this person was calling out this BS smearing tactic. Little did I know that Isaac Shore and a team of journalists are now monitoring every single like of mine on Twitter to see if they can convince the public that I am advocating for insanity. This is how desperate they have become.
All right, so you see, weird, right? Yeah, they just start making all these hit pieces and all this kind of stuff against you, right? Well, let me show y'all something. I understand exactly what Candace Owens is going through. What you see right here is canarymission.org, all right? It's a website, okay? Now, I want to type in my name, and y'all can watch me do this. You see this? You see who they got on here? And what do you see? Timothy Stevens has defended Hitler, denied the Holocaust, spread anti-Semitism. You see that, right? Click on it. And they had a whole, and I knew nothing about this, right? I had a relative just happened to be doing a school project and typed in, anti-Semitism, and by the grace and mercy of the Most High Yah, voila, this came up, and when they told me, I'm like, what are you talking about? I ain't never heard of no canary mission. What are you talking about, right? And so you see, these people had done a whole hit piece on me, right? So this is why I understand. These people went in, and they've been watching, you can see, right? You see where it says last modified? April 6th of 2024, right? I just found this out maybe about a year or so ago. They have been monitoring me since 2020. You see that? As of September 2020. So a lot of y'all just now found me, right? As you can see, they went back into July and November of 12. They was going all the way back to August 21st of 2016. But you can see, they had a whole page blaming Jews for the slave trade. Hey, y'all did it. There ain't no lie about it. I'm going to continue blaming you, right? You did it. Your people did it. You can't deny it. So how am I to blame for that, right? Demonizing Judaism, right? That the Talmud approved of pedophilia and pederasty. It is. It does just say that. So it ain't me. I ain't said it. It's in your book. I mean, look at this. And then they went on here and got all my Facebook links, right? Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, put all this stuff out here. And I had no clue that they'd done any of this. And not only did they do that to me, Brother Bob, who be on the podcast when we do Iron Sharpening Iron. If y'all ever go in, there's a bunch of Bible study videos. Brother Bob, they got him on there too. You know what I'm saying? So these people just be going around here, and that's the reason why a lot of y'all, they never saw me. Y'all never found me, but they found me 4 or 5 years ago. And that's why they be hitting my channel so much. That's why if y'all commenting, and I don't respond to your comment, it's because I didn't see it. I try to respond to every comment that I see. And I know that they hide comments because people have contacted me and told me. I even had a friend, had them to screenshot it, right? And they sent me the comment, and I never was able to see that comment. And I got the screenshot sent to me that they had posted a comment. That's how bad it is. But anyway, let's get back to Candace Owens. Enough about me.
So yeah, when I found out, really kind of, sort of, definitely with the rest of the world, that my show had been rather unceremoniously canceled, it was upsetting. And I want to say this, I genuinely, my entire life, I believe that you should always aim to split amicably, whether that's in a relationship, whether you're in the midst of a divorce, which I hope never happens, or whether it's just leaving a job. I mean, why else would we put years in anywhere if you did not want that relationship to end amicably? And quite frankly, I also think it's the right thing professionally not to speak about why you are splitting or what's happened. But I was shocked, very shocked, and I'm sure you were shocked as well, when no sooner was the split announced than Andrew Klavan just was like, hey, it's me, I pick myself, I'm gonna be her crazy ex-boyfriend. It was like a bizarre tour he went on. He felt like it was his duty. Or maybe somebody knighted him and said, Andrew Klavan, this is your duty to go around and to just smear Candace Owens. Say whatever it is that you want about her. I was nothing but kind and nice and warm to Andrew Klavan for years. I had what I would describe as a very good working relationship with him, as I do with everybody. It's important to me to always represent myself professionally, also to always be nice and check in on people's lives. And just a few weeks before this, Andrew Klavan was sitting across from me on Backstage, asking about my kids, asking us how I was doing, talking to him about the fact that I had had a surgery. I had been walking around in a boot just a little prior to that because I had a surgery back in December. And I think that is just, I don't know, I don't even want to say it's strange, more than strange. I think it's dishonorable. Andrew, he just lied. I know, it was just such a weird thing for me to watch. He was lying with such gumption. And I'm going to show you guys how you really can sort of sniff out these sorts of lies in politics in general. And we're going to start by just cutting to Andrew. He, on his second appearance talking about me, because, he really wanted me gone, but also can't stop talking about me, appeared on a show called Cross Politic. And he was explaining my alleged anti-Semitism. Take a listen.
The Daily Wire parted ways with Candace Owens. And part of it was things that she was saying that we felt were strongly anti-Semitic. And she was doing it in such a way that it was kind of hard to pin down. So I was trying to show where these things happen.
Strongly anti-Semitic, but in a way that was difficult to catch. But when you get to this sort of like, it was done in a way, you just know that it doesn't exist. That they're just going to have to make it up. They got to Jussie Smollett it. You know what I mean? You just got to make it up. And guess what? Andrew does just that. He jumps into a Hitler hoax. By the way, let me explain to you what I mean when I say a Hitler hoax. For a Jewish person, Andrew is racially Jewish. If they're trying to sell to you that someone just like jumped up on stage and started being like, yes, I love Hitler, or like, this person was just glorifying Hitler, you're probably being lied to. 99.9% of the time, it's a lie. And they do it because they have built up Adolf Hitler in our school books. They know that we instantly just recoil when we hear, oh my God, this person is supporting Hitler. So Andrew just jumps right into a Hitler hoax. And here is what he says, or at least what he says that I said. Take a listen.
But when you start saying things like some of those books Hitler burned weren't so bad, I was shocked. This is something Candace actually said. I was surprised to learn that the books Hitler was burning, or the Nazis were burning, they weren't good books. They were bad books. They were socialist books.
Andrew, my friend. Andrew, my former colleague. I just don't know how you can do that. Am I broken? Like, I don't have the ability to lie like that. How could you believe that I got on my platform and I was just like, yeah, no, Adolf Hitler, like when he was burning books, it was great. I just thought it would be totally fine for me to do that. Of course, that's not what happened at all. Actually, I wasn't even talking about Adolf Hitler. It was an episode that I was doing on psychology, and I was talking about how a lot of the people that have brought forth modern ideas of psychology were perverts. And I listed 3 Christians among those psychologists. And the psychologist he is referring to is Magnus Hirschfeld. He happens to be Jewish, but that wasn't important to me. I was just talking about psychology. It was no more important than the Christians I had mentioned on that episode. Didn't need to mention that they were Christian, just the fact that they were perverts. And so what he's doing here is he's actually defending a pervert, Magnus Hirschfeld, by pretending that he is Adolf Hitler and that I said, oh my gosh, it's so great that his books were burned. No, I just introduced a fact. An actual fact that lives on the Holocaust Museum website. It's a fact that Magnus Hirschfeld's Sex Institute was burned to the ground by student protesters. Literal fact from the Holocaust Museum website. And here's what I actually said thereafter. In my view, he's a pervert. Doesn't mean that his library or his institute should have been burned down. There's no excuse for burning down an institute. There it is, you guys. Does that sound like someone who's supporting the burning of books in any capacity? No. And that's why he never showed the clip. So what is it that I did that actually upset Andrew Klavan? That was kind of what I did. I've had such a great relationship with this guy. What did I do to deserve this? I would never do this to him or any person. What did I do that amounted to him planning an attack on me and smearing my name, absent any clips, absent any context? And he kind of gives it away in the title of his episode, because Christ really is king. And this, honestly, is just where things got a little bit disturbing for me. Andrew, for 5 entire months, had been seething, unbeknownst to me, never mentioned it to me, never when I saw him, over a tweet that I had sent last November, where I shared a Bible verse. And I ended the Bible verse, here it is, take a look at it, by saying Christ is king. It's just a Bible verse, okay? You will note that nobody is tagged in this verse. This was not a response to any thread. It was a standalone tweet. But remember, Andrew is lying his face off, right? So he says, okay, this is the tweet that upset me. Now I'm just going to pretend that this tweet was delivered in a different way. And here is how he lies again.
The truth that hid wickedness, that I thought was the most wicked truth to use, was the truth that Christ is king. You know, when you spit that phrase at Ben Shapiro, that she used Christ as king in an argument with Ben Shapiro, where it obviously carried this weight. And so that's why I was addressing it.
So there you have it. No, of course, I did not spit that phrase at a Jew. I just tweeted it all by itself. I did not use that phrase in an argument with a Jew. I just used that phrase at the end of a Bible verse because that's an appropriate time to use that phrase when I was calling for peace after actually somebody insulted me and called me faux sophisticated. And it was meant as nothing more than, I'm calling for peace. That's it. Christ is king of my heart. I don't need this drama because, if you remember, I was 38 weeks pregnant. And so obviously the world responded because I guess Andrew thought it was such a brilliant idea to launch this attack on Christian doctrine during Easter week. And people didn't like it. They didn't like it. And I just want to say I am so grateful to all of you who defended me and said how wrong this was, what was happening, how you just don't treat a colleague like this, and called out the sinister nature of what it was that he was doing. And he kept it up, trying to justify it, doing interview after interview after people essentially revolted and said, how can you do this thing? By then veering into what I would call Hitler dog logic. They're like, what are you talking about? She said Christ is, what is wrong with her saying Christ is king? And he has an explanation. It's Hitler dog logic. Take a listen.
And there is a substantial coterie of people, anti-Semites, people who hate Jewish people, who are using Christ the King as what the left would call a dog whistle. And they use it to spit at people. There are pictures of Nick Fuentes, who is a raving anti-Semite, shouting Christ the King in this kind of aggressive, pugilistic way to mean essentially Jews are screwed. You know, that's basically what they're saying.
So from that final clips, y'all can see that they ended up firing Candace but now she's got her own, that's her new podcast channel that's her own, I guess. But they ended up firing her, had another Ashkenazi who she was working for, found out all these reasons, but now what it has morphed into is that you fired her because she posted a Bible verse and because she said Christ is king, right? So you see now it's starting to take on a whole nother, life. And now they're being, targeted for them targeting her for persecuting a Christian, right? But when they initially was targeting Kanye, notice the one thing that they swept under the rug is because he said, I can't be an anti-Semite. We are Semites. We are Jews too, right? See, this is the big secret that they don't want out there, right? That's why they've tried to attack me. And if you notice the one thing when that Kyrie Irving thing hit, the reason they never mentioned Ron Dalton's name nor put him on TV nor promoted his movie, they wouldn't even say the movie name because they don't want us to know who we are. And they don't want the rest of the world to realize that they have ran a big hoax on everybody, right? So this is why, she's being persecuted. It initially started, she thinks it's just because she was trying to defend her friend. But no, they was mad at Kanye because of the same reason they were mad at Nick Cannon, the same reason they were mad at Kyrie Irving. Kyrie didn't do anything. He just posted a link to a movie and they went ham. So that's why this whole thing has taken on a whole nother dimension. It's went into Christianity, right? But when it was initially about Hebrew Israelites, that's when, they had to make sure we switched the narrative and all that kind of stuff. So that's why, I'm watching it. On one hand, I understand Candace is being persecuted, but on the other hand, she ain't saying we are the true Hebrew Israelites. Y'all ain't the real Jews, right? Because if she does that, they will try to get rid of that YouTube channel of hers. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. Thanks for watching.